Good evening. It's kind of dark in my studio in my office tonight, but I've been meaning to come on to YouTube Live. I'm trying to do YouTube messages when I'm not doing my H3 TV. And what's been on my mind lately is being real. So I decided, you know what? Why not come to you real? I was thinking about people, fascinating people. Aren't people fascinating? Anyway, I was thinking about who is real, which comes up over and over in my life, and I think and maybe I'm wrong. So please feel free to comment and tell me that I'm wrong because I am surprised at how many people are not really real. Like they're kind of real, like obviously we see them, we interact with them, but they could have so much going on and they paint a smile on and go things are going great. And maybe that's how we're supposed to show up. And maybe I missed that training. But I always feel like be real, be authentic and say you don't have to unload, overshare, tell all your problems to everyone you meet. But if things are hard, it's okay to say, I'm doing okay today, but I'm struggling at work. Or, you know what, we've got some personal stuff. I don't want to go into it if you don't want to. But just being real. And I had an encounter with someone in the last month, and I was sharing with my husband. This person came to me and they were like, "How are you? What's going on? We've been thinking about you, blah, blah." And I started to share a little bit like, hey, we're still in transition. We moved back to the condo, but it's challenging. It's challenging here. For those of you that have been to Fort Myers Beach, you know that it's still not calm. There was so much noise and shaking today. And I'm really trying to concentrate. I'm releasing another book in March. I'm going to college right now. I haven't really shared that with everybody, but in January I decided to go back to college and to get my bachelor's, to get my master's, to work on a degree in business, marketing, and ministry, which is what I feel called to right now in my life. And I started to share, and the person said, I know, it's always chaos with you. And I was like, what? Like, what is that about? And I just start thinking, then I saw another person that's going through some heavy stuff, like everything's great, business is great. Like, and my husband's like, people don't actually mean what they say, honey. You say what you mean, but a lot of people just say things. And so I was wondering, what about you? Do you um, do you say what you mean? And do you mean what you say? And are you authentic, or are you who you think you're supposed to be, not who you actually are? And trust me, I know that too. I spent years trying to pretend to be someone I wasn't, living in secrets, never telling the truth, partially my upbringing just to, I guess, protect us or protect the innocent or protect the guilty, whatever it was. But I think when you are not being real, it makes you sick to your stomach eventually. I met so many people in my life as a speaker and as a coach that almost live two different lives. They live their public life and then they live their real life. And when those are not aligned, it can make you physically sick. It can disturb your relationships. It can be challenging. And I guess I've never really been good with being fake or superficial, but as I get older, less and less. I want to be around people that are authentic, that are real, that are genuine, that care about you as a human being, and you can care about them as human beings. Not about what they wear or how they look or how much they weigh, but really who they are as human beings, how they show up in the workplace, how they show up in their home, how they show up in conversations, in encounters. And it's just been fascinating the last month or so that I think I've always been kind of aware of it, but like how I've been more aware of noticing how many people have such a persona. And maybe it's also the industry that I'm in that as a speaker, we are at the front of the room, we are influencers, we are presenters, we are supposed to look like we have it all together and that we are expert exactly on what we're talking about. But I know a lot of speakers, and I've yet to meet one, even one that has it all together, because they're also human beings that are messy and complicated and that aren't always as buttoned up as they pretend to be. And it's really been part of my brand is to be authentically Annie. I'm not saying I come messy, but I'm just saying I come real. I come real. I relate real. I am not there about myself. I'm really there about the audience. So partially, I think it's our persona that we have to show. And then I think social media adds to it, right? Like, okay, let's look like we are pulled together. Let's look like we know what we're talking about. And even if you're an expert on something, which I'm blessed because many people tell me what I'm an expert on more than me telling you, though I've learned is that I'm an expert on disruption. I'm an expert on mental wellness. I'm an expert on communication and connection, something that some people call soft skills, but I call them essential skills, a lost art of knowing how to look up and actually see people connect confidently, not arrogantly with each other, knowing who you are, knowing what you know, knowing what you don't know is part of confidence. I think the best people that I've interviewed over the years are able to articulate what they're great at, but also what they struggle with, also their challenges, their obstacles. I'm not always the best person with details or in my writing. And I'll tell people that, like, I'll say, let me just be honest, like, I'm not going to fill out your RFP half as good as somebody else, but I can captivate the audience when I speak. I can encourage people, I can inspire people, and I can motivate people to take action, not just to be motivated and inspired for that moment, to be activated to implement what they just heard and to have that affect their professional and their personal life. And so I just think, man, I want to know the real people. I want people to respond in this chat and tell me I'm real and I'm beautiful and brilliant and messy and complicated. I'm fascinating and extraordinary and difficult and challenging, like all of the things. And it's not that you have to share all your story, but it is that when we encounter other human beings and we're fake and we're pretend, what it does is actually intimidate other people to not be able to be comfortable being their authentic self with all of their brilliance and struggle at the same time. And so, yeah, that's just on my mind tonight. So my goal is to come to YouTube more often and do more lives and connect with my audience and allow you to ask questions. I have learned a lot of things the hard way, and if I can help anyone shortcut that through this YouTube station or through my presentations or through coaching, I do that, and I do it every day. Whether it's owning a business or climbing the corporate ladder or leading a direct sales team or owning a franchise, I have had my hand and foot and my whole self in all of those, or being a parent and being a wife and dealing with the ups and downs of life, um, and still making time, taking time and making time for self-care. And self-care is never selfish. It is self-full. And those that don't care for themselves deplete themselves and then don't show up their best. They're angry, they're bitter, they're complainers, they're negative. And when you take just even a moment to take care of yourself, it kind of changes everything. It changes how you show up, it changes how you feel, it changes how you sleep. Um, and I am 100% believer that um, movement is medicine. And whether that's going for a walk, which I'm getting ready to do, even though it's dark out here, um, or whatever it is you do, I just want to encourage you. Self care is never, ever, ever selfish. It is selfful. And especially as parents, to me, I think it's even more selfish to not care for yourself. Number one, you're role modeling. But number two, if you're trying to hold it all together and do everything, you become really short and resentful and snap at people. And that's not the best version of yourself. And always, I want to encourage people, take care of yourself for yourself. But if you can't start with that, start with taking care of yourself for your children or your grandchildren or your spouse or your best friend or the people you spend the time around that see you snap, that see you get short with them because you haven't spent the time to take care of yourself, whether that's walking or listening to music or dancing or cooking. I cooked a meal tonight, and it's the first time I've ever had trout. I had trout tonight, and I made it with cabbage and red peppers and zucchini, and it was so delicious. And it took a little bit of time, and like, slow down. You got time to chop. Sometimes I'm so quick. I'm so instant, getting everything fast and getting it done quickly. But it was so delicious. And now I'm going to go for a walk. But I just wanted to stop in and say, let's get real. Who are the real people in my life and in the world? And sometimes on social media, we have forgotten who is real. So tonight's Real Talk with Annie is get real so people can be real with you. And your fake only threatens them. Take care of yourself and keep being real.